project. Project that if he stops becoming a governor today, that people would attribute to him that this was what happened under this time. You know, it is very important. As a leader, you should look towards that. The example in River State here, the flyovers, the road project, these are legacy projects. In fact, I had prophesied that in 10 years to come, 5 to 10 years to come, some of these flyovers will be nicknamed Wiki Flyover. You know, it will just be the easy Wiki Flyover and Wiki Flyover because he has led a flyover revolution in the state.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, so these are like legacy projects, and this is what I think Silva is trying to say, that this road is a legacy project of Sayaki Dixon and not you, Governor Diri. You should point out your own legacy project.
Okay.
Yeah. So I also, like I've said, I can say Silva's legacy projects were those internal roads.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You know, it's like the governance when it concerns the state level is like well, to all levels it's like it's all about projects, because these are things that leaves out after one's tenure in office. Now, Timothy Silva also, you know, he made a statement, said he has gone to be incubated, and this time around is coming back to do better. So now he is trying to really play to an extent, you know, politically, you know, have an edge over Diri. Yeah, he's trying. All this is just to give him an edge over him. But then, one really wants to know how much he did, because Diri is also doing what he can do within the time frame he has. Now, Silva also knows that people were actually not so impressed, you know, with his tenure while he was governor, and that is why he made that comment that he has gone to incubate himself. That's like shooting yourself on the leg, you know. So now, with that and with all that is playing out, does Timothy Silva really stands a chance where Diri is with respect to all of this playing out? Because people have the scorecard before them, and you know, it's all about their mind, because this is just they're just busy trying to play into the minds of people. But at the end of the day, people know. The people will know who they want to vote for. So, what do you have to? What's your reaction to this?
In terms of indices and you know, both of them stand at. You know, they almost have similar scale of judgment, because Silva is a one-term governor, Diri is a one-term governor. So they can both judge their performance on the basis of their terms, one term. Secondly, Silva carried out projects, Diri carried out projects. They can both just oppose both of them at the level. So it's not the case of I'm coming to do something new, or both of them had their first chance. Then in terms of political arrangement, nobody can play the card that allow Doye finish his second term so that someone else can come. Silva too is just going to do one term, you know, because that has been something that I've given one-term governors an argument to go for a second term. Because if I go for one term and you allow me to go for my second term, you allow me to get elected, I can just do just one term again. So anybody aspiring to be governor would have just 4 years to wait. But if you allow this other man, this man might go for 8 years. But that argument does not hold for Silva now, because Silva is a one-term governor. So, but when you check their projects on per head, I can tell you the times are different, the resources are different. But the only basis that comparison can be made is on the basis of legacy projects.
Okay.
What impact did your time as governor have on? Was it healthcare? Was it transport system? Was it security? What aspects did you play in the overall development of Bayelsa State as a state and Yenagoa as a capital?
All right.
And that same question is what Silva can, on his own, to answer what he did in his time. So on that basis, that's when you can properly decipher whose is better and whose is to be correct from them there.
Okay, thank you very much. We go on a short break. We have the next conversation, very interesting, about the former Deputy Inspector General of Police. He is suing the PSC and demanding 550 million naira as damages. We'll get to that conversation after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back to ATN Blowout. We have a very interesting conversation to dive straight in right now. A former Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of ICT and Research and Development, DIG Moses Jitobor, retired, has sued the Police Service Commission, PSC, at the National Industrial Court over his compulsory retirement when he is yet to attain the mandatory retirement tenure of 35 years in service, nor the age limit of 60 years, and insists he's still a DIG until 2029. Retired DIG Jitobor is also praying the National Industrial Court to declare his retirement as wrongful, unconstitutional, and unlawful. His statement of claims further described his compulsory retirement as a flagrant violation of Rule 020810 of the Public Service Rules and Section 18, Subsection 8 of the Nigerian Police Act 2020, respectively. Additionally, DIG Jitobor is praying for an order of the National Industrial Court directing the PSC to pay the sum of 500 million naira only as general damages for the unwarranted embarrassment caused by the purported termination of his employment, as he had been portrayed to be a disloyal officer. He also wants the court to order the payment of another sum of 50 million naira to him as the cost of prosecuting the ongoing action. Furthermore, the retired DIG is seeking a declaration of the National Industrial Court that, pursuant to Section 4, Subsection 3 of the Police Service Commission Act 2001, the defendant PSC has no valid board to take any decision whatsoever purporting to retire or promote any police officer as the PSC board tenure elapsed in July of 2023. He insisted that he was and remains an officer of the Nigeria Police Force until the 10th day of June 2029, when he would have attained 35 years in service and duly retire, and that he is therefore entitled to his salaries, emoluments, and all other paraphernalia of office due to him. It would be recalled that the PSC, in a statement on Monday, August 28, 2023, compulsorily announced the retirement of DIG Jitobor and 3 other DIGs on the grounds of upholding police tradition of retiring officers when a junior police officer is promoted over senior officers to avoid status reversal. The PSC said the order became imperative because PSC has expected those DIGs who were seniors in rank prior to the acting IGP, Kayode Egbetokun, to voluntarily retire. The PSC said such expected application was in consonance with the revered tradition of discipline and regimented culture of the Nigeria Police Force, the Commission having waited for ample time with no such application from any of them, took the decision to compulsorily retire them in order to uphold discipline, which is the bedrock of the force, and to discourage status reversal, which is inherently inimical to the exercise of authority by the Inspector General. The PSC in contest, it's out of contest to question why he did that. And of course, we expect that people who are actually retired before, though they say it's in the tradition of the Nigerian Police Force to actually retire them when there's a new...
A favorite younger officer and promote him ahead of me, and with not just for that sake, you're now forcing me to retire way ahead of my time. It is a fine description of fundamental injustice. Something that, the problem why injustice continue to persist in nations like ours is because people have failed to fight it. People feel that it's a long process. It's like that. That is how it has been happening. And you continue in a circle of Wantom Dikaiji Jumo wins his case or not, whether or not he has the powers that be allow you to see the light of the day. This is a good step in purifying the police system. There is a reason why people go into civil service. There is a reason why people look forward to putting their best and ensuring that they serve out their time. I've not seen anyone who goes into civil service dedicated and stays there with the hope that he will be his term in service will be truncated. People put in, whenever people go into any system, regimental system, civil service, workspace and all that, they hope to grow. The motivation is that they will grow through the ranks. If not for the fact that he's a police officer, and some of us already feel that these persons are part and parcel of the decay of the rot of the system. If not on that basis, if DIG Jimo should put up a GoFundMe account for me to fund that his case, I will contribute my widow's mite, because this should be encouraged. It's not going to happen just on the police system. It's going to have a ripple effect across all board, because it happens both in the army, in the navy. If people are in service, allow them grow, allow them get what is due for them. It is this kind of system that promotes ethnicity. You see somebody come because of the senior officers are not from his ethnic group, he forcefully retires them and picks someone from his ethnic group that is a junior officer that is not even meritorious of that office. So what is the essence of people putting time into service? What is the essence of people going into training and retraining, ensuring that they become good for the office in front of them? And after years of preparation, you wave them like with the wave of the hand and bring in someone that suits your bidding. And then not only doing that, no adequate compensation, you are forcing them to retire. I suspect from what he has been read, I suspect that DIG Jumo, he stayed put because they said normally, out of respect, some of those senior officers would just resign and go. He stayed put. He held his feet because you cannot retire him forcefully. He has not done any wrongdoing. He has not gotten the basis at which you can retire somebody in the system is if he was found wanting, dismissed, if he got to a retirement age of 60 years, or if he has put up to 35 years of service. And if Jumo have not got into any of this, the basis of retirement is unfounded. This is not their community meeting, or this is not their social club that you can say, stand up for this chief to sit down. No. Processes, laws is what guides a sane society. And this is why we keep failing always. This is why corruption keeps persisting. How would you expect a system like that to you expect okay, just take for example, Jimo said he has till 2029.
Yes.
Way about 6 years. That 2029, we don't know if it's the expiration of 35 years or if he's going to be 60 by then. However, it means that this man have grown to a rank of DIG 6 years before his retirement age. He must be doing something good. He must be doing something, because some persons put in 35 years in the service and they don't even get to be DIG. Some persons put in, get to 60 years and they don't even get to be DIG in the service. So I think that all Jimo as a policeman, because of how we feel about the police institution, but should support him on this task. And he should be adequately within to support him on this task. And he should be adequately within the ranks of those qualified. You must find somebody that is good there to pick. You shouldn't
just pick the pick,
yes, and promote ahead. That's part of our arrangement of it should stop. And Jimo is leading the charge, and he has my goodwill with him. I support him wholeheartedly.
Thank you very much. That's a good one. You've actually said touched all that needs to be touched. Well, let's leave that as it is and hope that he gets out successful in this case, because looking at the amount of money that is involved there, it's going to be a good settlement for him. Because
yes.
All right, so let's get straight to the next conversation. There was a mild drama in the Senate on Tuesday as the chief whip, Senator Ali Ndume, angrily stormed out of the chamber. In order to calm the tense situation from escalating, the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, suddenly called for an emergency closed session. Ndume had raised a point of order, citing Order 54 of the Senate Rule Book to draw the attention of the Senate President to his handling of affairs in the chambers, which were... There have been some issues in the chamber over the manner Akpabio has been handling the Senate affairs. Ndume and some other senators are not happy with that, and their attempt to call the attention of the Senate President to it failed, as he insisted this is not the first time we're having this kind of situation, and it's quite too early. It's quite too early. It's quite too early to start having issues, because Akpabio just recovered. Actually, he just recovered from being impeached. There were some kind of reactions towards he was just getting settled before that. He almost risked being impeached, and this situation is still on ground. I have you to please your take on this.
When you see how, if you pay attention to how the election in the chambers for the office of the Senate President went, you know that it was one of the toughest elections. In fact, as little as 6 votes would have made the difference. If Akpabio had lost 6 votes and Ndume had gained 6 votes, he would have won. Existing, it's something that would affect, that can actually, affect your reign as a Senate President. So I had expected Akpabio to put in conscious effort in unifying the House, rather than making actions that would further make obvious the divide. This also comes to play as regards my previous statement of people abusing institutional laid-down principles and bending it to serve their own selfish purpose. Just moments ago, we were discussing how the police institution assumes that once we pick somebody and promote him ahead of you, you should just retire. And now you can see the chamber, the red chambers, is guided by orders and procedures. And for me to point out, there's a book, that has the, point of orders and all that. It is written in Senator stand up to raise a point of order and cites it on a book. He is to be protected at all costs, because without that, we're just lucky that the seats in the Senate chamber seems to be fixed to the floor. If not, without that, we would have flying chairs. flying chairs and boxing senators. The reason why you have the book order is to ensure that we have decorum. And you know, when you see parliamentary fights, it's more than Royal Rumble.
Yes.
You know, you see men in Abada flinging punches. So, what Senate President Akpabio did, I've always been a fan of Akpabio. In fact, I see him as one of the politicians that choose his battles carefully. And so I'm surprised that he would allow room for some of these loopholes. Allow the man have his say. If you're overruling him, on what order are you overruling him? Is it that some persons do not have their say? Is it that the Senate President can choose to hush everybody and go ahead? And when you do that repeatedly, more so in a house that you know the division against you is large enough to cause some kind of opera or some kind of, upsetting some issues. It requires some level of wisdom.
You know, this actually reminds me of the fact that it could be because of Senator Akpabio, Godswill Akpabio's office. You know, for some reasons, the House, they've come up with this reform law that should actually be bound or be binding on them, that you can't just be a Senate president without having served a term in the House. You understand? So it's somehow provoking to think that that could be the reason why he's having these problems.
Actually, you know, Akpabio had been in the Senate. When he was in the Senate, he was, I think, when Akpabio left in 2015, when Goodluck Jonathan lost, he went to the Senate. And in his time in the Senate, he was a minority leader.
So was that not enough for him to have an experience on how to carry out this, the office?
It is expected, you know, it is expected. But what you see here is politics. Like you said, there were plots of impeachment, or at least rumors of plot of impeachment. And Akpabio's action could be him trying to protect himself and his office by ensuring that, or assuming that whatever Ndume might be raising can instigate some kind of action. So that might be a way of protecting his office. You know, there's a popular saying that a man in power will do everything within his power to retain that power.
Okay.
You know, so, but then the options he's taking come with some kind of consequences. And also he should realize that he's leading a house that have a sharp division. If I was Akpabio, my first action would be to give these persons some sense of inclusiveness.
Exactly.
If not the leaders, at least the followers should now see that, oh, we fought war against this side and then we lost, but they've embraced us, you know. So that is expected, but actions like this keep the sharp divide. In fact, if there are some dissatisfied members in the camp of Godswill Akpabio, if there are some dissatisfied members in the camp of Godswill Akpabio, and they decide to storm out of the arrangement, you now have a waiting block that people can align with and upstage him. You know, you have a waiting block of senators that are willing to just have maybe 10 or 20 people join them to decide, and they upstage him. So this is something that requires wisdom, and Akpabio should do
more to come up with better approach to his office.
Exactly, because you know, it's just now that we're seeing Senate President serve 4 years and leave. You know, during the time of Obasanjo, Senate presidents were being changed just the way they change Commissioner of Police and IGs.
Yeah. All right, thank you very much. Let's quickly address this before we wrap up. Abuja Federal High Court has fixed dates to hear a preliminary objection filed by Governor Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State against a suit filed by his deputy, Lucky Aiyedatiwa, to stop his impeachment by the state's House of Assembly. Justice Emeka Nwite fixed October 30 for the hearing of the suit. This is coming after Aiyedatiwa's counsel, Ebun Olu Adeboruwa, opposed the submission of Akeredolu's lawyer, Kasim Badamosi, on his insistence to have his application heard, while Wite fixed some date for hearing of Aidatiwa's counter affidavit. The judge equally fixed the hearing of an application filed by the Ondo State House of Assembly and its speaker challenging the jurisdiction of the court and a motion for stay of execution of the interim order of the court filed by the lawmakers for same date. The judge who directed Adeboruwa to ensure that the Inspector General of Police and the Department of State Service, the first and second defendants in the suit, were served with all their processes, including the notice of hearing, asked all parties to put their house in order ahead of the next adjourned date. It would be recalled that on September 26, Wite restrained the Ondo State House of Assembly from impeaching Aidatiwa over allegations of gross misconduct and gave the interim order in a ruling shortly after Aidatiwa's counsel Kayode Adewusi, who moved the ex-party motion to that effect. All right. We're actually running out of time, but let's quickly address this. Before this, there are some sorts of agitations already against the governor, the incumbent governor, yes, because there's this alleged claim that he's operating from Ibadan, and then that he should either return to office or resign. Now, this is a case. There is already there's a chasm, in terms of rift, misunderstanding between him and his deputy, and this is coming up. What's to say that with all of this happening, the deputy governor actually stands more chance in this situation? What's to say that that's not possible?
For you to better understand and appreciate what is the peculiarity of this situation, one would need to know where it started from. When the governor of Ondo State was had his medical challenges,
yes,
he was out for some time.
Yes.
At some point, he was rumored to have been late.
Yes.
And I was on this station when the deputy governor cried out that, because when the assembly announced him as acting governor, he cried out that the aides of the former governor were not answering to him and were not allowing him play his role as the
deputy
acting governor.
Yeah, acting governor.
Because once you become the acting governor, you assume the power of the governor. So I think he even got to a point of finances. He could not get the accountant and whatever relevant.
But that was rather being too fast. Don't you think so?
However, governance must go on.
Okay.
This is what ought to be. The political undertone, the reason for that, the fact that he was the acting governor. Then there was already rift between him and the appointees of the governor. So when the governor came back, there's something about them. They say when you stage a coup and you fail, you already know what is expected. Not like that was a coup, but this man was assumed the authority of the governor and fell out with the governor's aides. And then when the governor came back, it's understandable that there would have been some kind of rift. These other persons that they were about losing power would stage a comeback. And this is what we're witnessing now. So this is them staging a comeback and, no, okay, while you were there, you decided, you acted like you didn't have our boss didn't exist. You treated us this way, you have to leave. And it's mostly politics.
Okay.
So if he has a case or not, yes, the court have stopped that. I and my friend was discussing this one time like that, and he said, the term gross misconduct could be anything, And once they say you can be impeached for gross misconduct, anything can constitute gross misconduct in Nigerian political setting.
Okay.
And that is what has been attributed to him, gross misconduct, And they want him out because how he played when it seemed like the boss was not returning to power might have seemed to some persons as maybe betrayal or, upstaging power to his own personal interest. But it is politics. And if he should do anything, it's to look for it to going through the law is the best part because the law can protect him. That's what's happening in those states between Obaseki and Shaibu. So the law can protect him. These are gone are those days when governors were kidnapped and impeached, like from my home state, Anambra State, happened to Chris Igige, you know, also to Peter Obi, who was impeached and reinstated. Gone are those days that such illegality can persist unanswered.
Okay.
But we are hopeful that whatever politics they are playing, they'll reach a logical end or a compromising end where they meet compromises and they forge ahead.
Okay. You know, there's this legal practitioner, Mr. Allen Showore. He's already pushing for the doctrine of necessity to be invoked, you know. But let's just leave it at that, be it as it may. We want to believe that because peace is always a pathway to progress. So let's hope that there is they come to a better way of sorting out all of these frictions and forge ahead and move governance the way it should be, because you already know that there is a youth that is actually agitating, and all of this is not good for the state. So we hope that the governor Akeredolu does the needful. If he's not so good in health, and of course, you know that if there wasn't this friction, there wasn't this rift between him and his deputy, this wouldn't have been an issue. Yes, that understanding would have been there, and I'm sure the deputy would have just, swung into action, just wearing his shoe and just, play things the way it should be. So let's leave that as it is now, and this is how far we can go. Not to worry if you have missed any of the conversations. You can meet up with whatever you've missed on any of our social media handles, on Twitter and on Instagram. You can find us on Atlantic TV Network, on YouTube and Facebook. You can find us on Atlantic Television Network, and also you can download our app from the Play Store, ATN Live. Until then, tomorrow we'll have more Blowout conversations for you. Do enjoy the rest of your day.